his administration at Tennessee State University and some of the things that were important in terms of his own career. And Dr. Hefner, I think you were talking about the three individuals who played such a significant role in eventually convincing you that you ought to move beyond and to be a candidate perhaps for one of these positions. Talk about those individuals for us.
Well, Vivian Henderson was an economist. He was at Fisk University. He chaired the Department of Economics, and then he went to Clark College as president. He was the one that recruited me away from the University of Colorado, Boulder, when I finished up my coursework for the degree. And as a result of him, I did my dissertation dealing with black employment in Atlanta. So it was Vivian who molded me, who brought me under his wing as president when he was president of Clark College, and I was one of the faculty members. And I left Clark College and did some work at Princeton. And it was Vivian who convinced me to leave Princeton to come back south. And he indicated that you need to give back to the African American community. And so my wife, I moved my family back to Atlanta, and I worked with Vivian. And then the other person who came to my mind was Dr. Hugh Gloucester of Morehouse College. Dr. Gloucester gave me a $500,000 chair. I was the first Charles A. Murray Professor of Economics at Morehouse. I would have had this chair until I was 70 years of age. But my friends at Morehouse encouraged me to go upstairs, and even Dr. Gloucester encouraged that. So I ended up going to Tuskegee Institute as provost. So I left an endowed chair and went to Tuskegee as provost. And there's where I met Stephen Wright, who came in and was a consultant to me when I was a provost. And as a result of those three men, the second year that I was at Tuskegee as provost, they recommended me for presidency. And I was surprised by that, but they felt that I had the values, the know-how, the skills to be a college president. And as a result of what those men did for me, I ended up being a college president.
You know, Dr. Hefner, you talk about your stay at Tuskegee Institute.
Yes.
And I've had an opportunity to, on this show, interview a large number of individuals from Alabama and from Tuskegee and et cetera. But I've never had an opportunity to have somebody to tell me personally, what influence do you still find that Tuskegee Institute left by Mr. Booker T. Washington? Talk about Washington and Tuskegee and how you found what is going on there and the influence that he had there.
Well, I was always very interested in W.B. Du Bois, and you know, and of course I did go into Tuskegee with some prejudices regarding Booker T. Washington. And then I found that really, if you look at a corn, on one side you have a certain picture, on the other side you have the other. What they did for each other, they complemented each other, and one was the intellect and one was the pragmatist. And so what I learned at Tuskegee is that the pragmatists developed that institution and created men and women who contributed much to the world. Now, Du Bois, in my intellectual world, is my champion, and so Du Bois was the idealist. Of course, Booker T, the pragmatist. But you need in this world both pragmatists and idealists. And those two values have helped me in the presidency of Tennessee State University, as well as the presidency of Jackson State University.
And so Washington's influence is still there.
Washington's influence is still there, and he believed in academic excellence. And that is what, of course, Du Bois believed in as well.
And now, when you reach Tennessee State University, you believe that students matter most. Talk about that from the perspective of why students ought to
Well,
matter.
I think that that is something that I learned at both Morehouse and at Tuskegee, that students do matter most. And your job is to do an extraordinary job of educating them. Never believe that students cannot learn. Push them against intellectual walls and give them intellectual headaches. And that is what I learned when I was at the University of Colorado. That's what I did when I taught at Princeton, is that you don't assume that kids cannot learn. You provide them with expectations beyond what they think they can achieve. and you'll find that many of them will do that.
And so that has been sort of a creed in terms of your academic career.
My academic career has been around excellence. I mean, I do not in any way say that I'm sorry that I believe in excellence.
Well, as a matter of fact, let's talk about some of the accomplishments that your administration was able to perform for Tennessee State University over the many years.
Well, I'm delighted to say that for the last 10 years, TSU has been listed in U.S. News and World Report as one of the 229 best colleges in the country. No other black college has been able to achieve that consistently. And that represents the excellence that I was taught by those three presidents who felt that I was worthy of being a president. The other thing is that there are only 3 black colleges in the country with a Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society, and that is the most prestigious honor society comprising all academic disciplines. Tennessee State is one. When I was president of Jackson State, that's another. And then North Carolina A&T. Only 3 black colleges with the most prestigious honor society. And that says something about what we believe in quality and excellence. And that's something that I can say about TSU. The academic side is there. And the building part is I've built 8 new buildings since I've been at TSU. I've renovated every building on the main and downtown campuses. That is the most beautiful campus I know in the country. And we create that metamorphosis around building and excellence.
And you've also made arrangements for that downtown. Why don't you make some statements in reference to that downtown facility and what can happen to that facility, Dr.
Well, as a result of the consent decree, which TSU received the bulk of the funds, we are going to renovate the downtown campus, and it will be very, very important for non-traditional students, because we find in this society in which we live now, non-traditional students predominate. And so TSU will be one of the institutions out there educating non-traditional students. So we're going to renovate it. We're going to make that campus what it used to be on the University of Tennessee, Nashville.
And you'll have, and of course we're getting ready, Dr. Hefner, for our second commercial break, after which we'll come back and we'll have several minutes to deal with some additional topics. But in terms of your building program, in terms of the academic achievement, we'd also like for you to say later something about the faculty, because I think that you've been very, very important and instrumental in terms of faculty development. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to this final segment of the show for today. The guest is Dr. James Hefner, the president of Tennessee State University, and this show represents a summary of some of his accomplishments at Tennessee State University. And of course, Dr. Hefner, what we'd like to do during this last segment is to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the things that were important in terms of your tenure at Tennessee State University, and how you hope that you could move on beyond that, and et cetera, whatever you wish to, however you wish to address that.
Well, first of all, I think that the motto, students matter most, I think it's a part of my lifestyle, because I do think that students matter most. The lady who had so much influence on me,